In the weeks following Emily's disappearance, East Hollow High School seemed to sink deeper into an eerie, oppressive atmosphere. The hallways, once filled with the usual teenage buzz, were now heavy with whispers and fearful glances. But it wasn't just the fear of Emily's fate that gripped us. It was the strange occurrences that began to plague the school. It started small. Flickering lights in the classrooms, lockers opening and slamming shut on their own, and cold spots that seemed to drift through the corridors. At first, these incidents were dismissed as electrical issues or the overactive imaginations of scared teenagers. But as they became more frequent and intense, it was impossible to ignore them. I remember one particularly chilling day when a group of us were in the library after school. The room suddenly grew icy cold, our breath visible in the air. Books flew off the shelves, and the lights flickered violently before plunging us into darkness. When the lights came back on, we found a message scratched into one of the desks. "She's here." Students and teachers alike began to share their experiences. Sarah, one of Emily's close friends, swore she saw Emily's reflection in a bathroom mirror, only for it to disappear when she turned around. Mr. Thompson, the janitor, recounted how he heard faint cries echoing through the empty hallways late at night. Mrs. Carter, our English teacher, reported seeing shadows moving on their own in her classroom. Then, the unthinkable happened. Mr. Stevens, a well-liked history teacher, was found dead in his classroom. The circumstances were bizarre and terrifying. He was discovered slumped over his desk, a look of sheer horror frozen on his face, with no apparent cause of death. His classroom was in disarray, papers scattered everywhere, and the words, "Find me," scrawled in chalk on the blackboard. The school was in a state of shock. Another tragedy, another mystery. Fear and paranoia gripped us tighter. What was happening in East Hollow High? And most importantly, who, or what, was responsible? Determined to uncover the truth, I joined forces with a few friends who were equally troubled by the strange events. There was Sarah, who was convinced that Emily was trying to reach out to us from beyond. Mark, a tech-savvy guy who believed there had to be a rational explanation, and Jess, who had always been fascinated by the supernatural. We started our investigation by gathering all the information we could. We interviewed classmates and teachers, compiling their accounts of the paranormal activities. We also spent countless hours in the library, digging through old yearbooks, newspapers, and any historical records we could find about the school. It was during one of these late-night research sessions that we stumbled upon something intriguing. An old newspaper clipping from the 1950s reported a series of mysterious incidents at East Hollow High, eerily similar to what we were experiencing. There were stories of students disappearing, unexplained deaths, and sightings of ghostly figures. One particular name kept appearing in these old reports: Abigail Foster, a student who had vanished without a trace and was rumored to haunt the school. Intrigued and terrified, we began to piece together a timeline of events. It seemed that every few decades, the school experienced a spike in paranormal activity, always following the disappearance of a student. The parallels between Emily and Abigail were undeniable. Both were popular, well-liked, and vanished under mysterious circumstances. Could it be that Abigail's spirit was somehow connected to Emily's disappearance? Our theories ranged from the plausible to the fantastical. Mark suggested that perhaps there was a hidden room or passage in the school where the missing students were being held. Sarah believed that Emily and Abigail were trying to communicate with us from another realm, seeking help to uncover their fate. Jess, ever the paranormal enthusiast, proposed that the school itself was cursed, a vortex of negative energy attracting tragic events. Driven by a mix of fear and determination, we decided to take our investigation to the next level. Armed with flashlights, cameras, and a Ouija board, We planned to spend a night in the school, hoping to make contact with the spirits and uncover the truth. Little did we know, we were about to confront a darkness more terrifying than we had ever imagined. The night we chose for our investigation was particularly cold and moonless. The school loomed before us, its darkened windows like empty eyes watching our every move. With a mix of apprehension and determination, we slipped through a side entrance, our flashlights cutting thin beams through the oppressive darkness. We made our way to the library, the epicenter of many of the strange occurrences. We set up our cameras and arranged the Ouija board on a table in the center of the room. As we sat around it, hands trembling slightly, we began to call out to Emily and Abigail, hoping for some sign of their presence. At first, nothing happened. The silence was deafening, and I could hear the rapid beating of my own heart. But then, a cold breeze swept through the room, extinguishing our candles and plunging us into darkness. The temperature dropped sharply, and we could see our breath forming misty clouds in the frigid air. Our flashlights flickered, casting eerie shadows on the walls. Suddenly, the planchette on the Ouija board began to move. Slowly at first, then more rapidly, it spelled out a chilling message: "Help us." We asked who they were, and the board spelled out Emily and Abigail. My blood ran cold as I realized we were indeed communicating with the spirits of the missing girls. As we continued our seance, the library door slammed shut with a deafening bang. Books flew off the shelves, and a guttural, disembodied voice echoed through the room, repeating the words, "Find me." We were terrified, but we knew we were close to uncovering the truth. We asked the spirits what had happened to them, and the planchette spelled out a series of chilling words: trapped, hurt, and sacrifice. It became clear that the school had a dark history, one that involved the ritualistic sacrifice of students. These sacrifices were somehow tied to an ancient curse that had been placed on the land long before the school was built. Desperate for answers, we asked where we could find them. The planchette pointed to the basement. Summoning our courage, we made our way down to the lower levels of the school, each step echoing ominously in the silence. The basement was a labyrinth of old storage rooms and forgotten hallways, filled with dust and decay. In the deepest part of the basement, we found an old, locked door. With a sense of dread, we managed to force it open. Inside, we discovered a hidden chamber, its walls covered in ancient symbols and bloodstains. In the center of the room was a crude altar, and scattered around it were remnants of old, tattered clothing that matched the descriptions of what Emily and Abigail had been wearing when they disappeared. As we took in the horrifying scene, the air grew unbearably cold, and a dark figure materialized before us. It was a shadowy entity, its form constantly shifting and writhing. The entity let out a terrifying scream that reverberated through our very bones. It was the malevolent force that had been haunting the school for decades, feeding off the fear and pain of its victims. With no other option, we confronted the entity. We held hands, forming a circle, and began to chant a banishing spell we had found in the old records. The entity writhed and screamed, but we continued, our voices growing stronger with each word. The room shook violently, and it felt as though the very walls were closing in on us. Finally, with one last, blood-curdling shriek, the entity dissipated into nothingness. The oppressive cold lifted, and the room was eerily silent once more. We knew the curse had been broken, and the spirits of Emily and Abigail were finally at peace. Exhausted and shaken, we made our way back to the surface, the first light of dawn breaking on the horizon. East Hollow High School would never be the same, but we had uncovered the truth and ended the cycle of terror. The school remained closed for months, undergoing renovations and exorcisms to ensure no lingering darkness remained. As for me, The experience left an indelible mark. I knew I would never forget the horrors we faced and the courage it took to stand up against the unknown. The shadows of East Hollow may have been banished, but their memory would haunt me forever. Months have passed since that fateful night, but the memories still linger, vivid and haunting. The school remains closed, shrouded in rumors and whispers, its once bustling hallways now silent and deserted. Officially, the town cited structural issues and safety concerns as reasons for the indefinite closure, but those of us who were there know the truth. The town of East Hollow was forever changed. The disappearance of Emily Parker and the mysterious death of Mr. Stevens left a scar that could never fully heal. The revelation of the dark history hidden within the school's walls spread like wildfire, igniting fear and curiosity in equal measure. The older residents spoke in hushed tones about the curse of East Hollow High, while the younger generation shared tales of our confrontation with the supernatural. For my friends and me, life slowly returned to a semblance of normalcy, but we were marked by the experience. Sarah found solace in her belief that Emily and Abigail had found peace. Mark, ever the skeptic, couldn't completely shake the rational explanations he clung to, but he no longer dismissed the possibility of the supernatural. Just dove deeper into her fascination with the paranormal, using our story to fuel her research and writings. As for me, I couldn't escape the feeling that we had merely scratched the surface of the mysteries surrounding East Hollow High. The hidden chamber, the ancient symbols, and the malevolent entity were all pieces of a puzzle that felt incomplete. Despite our victory, there were still questions left unanswered, and the true extent of the curse remained shrouded in darkness. The impact on the school community was profound. With the closure of East Hollow High, students were dispersed to neighboring schools, carrying with them the chilling stories of our ordeal. The town's reputation suffered, becoming known as a place of inexplicable horrors. Some residents moved away, unable to bear the weight of the town's haunted legacy. In time, the school was transformed. Investors saw potential in the historic building and proposed converting it into a community center, a place where the town could come together and heal. The renovations were extensive, and the sinister remnants of the past were carefully removed or concealed. Yet, despite the fresh paint and modern amenities, the building retained an aura of unease. The mystery of East Hollow High remains unsolved, a dark chapter in the town's history that refuses to be forgotten. Every now and then, there are whispers of strange occurrences in the newly renovated center, unexplained cold spots, flickering lights, and the faint sound of distant cries. It seems that, although the entity was banished, the echoes of its presence still linger. For me, the experience became a defining moment. It taught me the fragility of our understanding of the world and the thin veil that separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. I wrote down our story, hoping to preserve the truth and warn others of the hidden dangers that might lurk in seemingly safe places. The shadows of East Hollow may have been driven away, but their memory remains, a haunting reminder that some mysteries are never fully resolved and some secrets are best left undisturbed. The events at East Hollow High School remain etched in my memory, a constant reminder of the thin line between the known and the unknown. Our journey into the heart of darkness revealed not only the terrifying reality of the supernatural, but also the resilience and courage we found within ourselves. We confronted an ancient evil and brought some semblance of peace to the spirits trapped within the school's walls, but the mysteries we uncovered left more questions than answers. As East Hollow moves forward, the scars of its haunted past will never fully heal. The new community center stands as a symbol of hope and renewal, but the whispers of its dark history will always linger, a reminder of the horrors that once unfolded there. The town's legacy is forever intertwined with the events at East Hollow High, a cautionary tale of the unseen forces that can lurk beneath the surface of everyday life. For my friends and me, the experience has shaped who we are. We have become more attuned to the mysteries of the world, more aware of the fragile boundaries that separate reality from the supernatural. Our bond, forged in the crucible of fear and determination, remains strong, a testament to the power of friendship in the face of unimaginable terror. The story of East Hollow High is a reminder that some mysteries are meant to remain unsolved, that some secrets are best left buried. Yet, in our quest for truth, we discovered that courage, compassion, and resilience are our greatest allies against the unknown. As I look back on those harrowing nights, I am reminded that the darkest places can reveal the brightest lights, and that even in the face of the inexplicable, we have the power to endure and overcome. I still remember the first day I walked into East Hollow High School. The building, with its towering red brick facade and ivy-covered walls, seemed like any other typical American high school. The hallways were filled with the usual mix of chatter, laughter, and the occasional shouts of excitement. But beneath the surface, there was an unsettling air that I couldn't quite put my finger on. My name is Alex, and I was a senior at East Hollow. I had moved to this small town just a year ago when my parents decided to relocate for work. I quickly settled into the new school, making friends and joining the soccer team. Life seemed normal, even mundane, until the day everything changed. It was a chilly morning in October when the first incident occurred. Emily Parker, a sophomore known for her bright smile and infectious energy, didn't show up for school. At first, no one thought much of it. Kids skip school all the time, right? But as the day went on and there was still no sign of her, people started to worry. By the end of the day, the principal made an announcement asking anyone who had seen Emily or knew of her whereabouts to come forward. Days turned into weeks, and the search for Emily intensified. The local police scoured the town, interviewing classmates, teachers, and anyone who might have seen her. But it was as if she had vanished into thin air. No clues, no leads, nothing. Her parents were devastated, and the school was plunged into a state of fear and confusion. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. Emily's disappearance haunted me. I remember passing by her locker, now decorated with missing posters and flowers, and feeling a cold shiver run down my spine. It was as if the school itself was hiding something, a dark secret lurking just beneath its ordinary exterior. Little did I know, Emily's disappearance was just the beginning of the horrors that East Hollow High would soon unveil.